skeleton crew to another Ragnarok classic cartoon commentary. Today we're headed back to 1943, January 15th, 1943, for a heavy one. I'm not gonna lie, this one's heavy. It's gonna be difficult to crack funny through it, but it's one that I feel is important to have in the collection. It's one of the most intense Disney World War II propaganda shorts. Education for Death, The Making of a Nazi. And, let's do it.
What makes a Nazi? How does he get that way?
Let's find out.
Well, let's look into the process. To begin with, Nazi control over a German child starts as soon as it's born.
Yeah, gotta get them while they're
A
young.
young German couple has come to register the birth of their son.
Oh, boy.
Heil Hitler.
Heil Hitler!
No, he's way more enthusiastic than they are.
Herr Standesbeamte, wir möchten unseren Jungen anmelden.
What a terrifying experience this must have been.
Ja, hier sind unsere Geburtsscheine, die Geburtsscheine unserer Eltern.
Those documents are birth certificates, all the way back to their great-grandparents.
Their
Proving, of course,
great-grandparents.
that they are pure Aryans.
So what's that, 4
Wir
generations?
möchten auch gern wissen, ob wir
The
unseren
mother wants to call her son Hans.
Dieses Verzeichnis
Ja.
enthält alle männlichen Namen, die für Kinder außer...
verboten list.
Verboten.
Hans seems to be okay for the time being.
Hier ist der Erbbier-Ausweis.
Hans is a pretty German name.
This
Did
is their
it ever hit the
passport
verboten
with
list?
space for 12 future children.
Wow,
A subtle
12?
hint, Germany needs soldiers.
Oh, they wanted them to have 12.
Ich überreiche Ihnen ein wertvolles Geschenk von unserem Führer.
As a
Eee.
reward, they get a copy of Germany's bestseller.
Mein
Now let's see what
Kampf.
happens.
My struggle
Children.
is what that translates to.
Kindergarten. And little Hans learns the fairy tales of the new world.
Kindergarten.
Remember the story
That's
of
a
the
German
Sleeping
word,
Beauty?
right?
Hans was taught that the wicked witch was democracy.
Oh,
And Sleeping Beauty, who can she be?
Germany. I bet you.
Aha, here comes the prince.
What is he, casting spells with his sword? What is he doing? The Sword of Light.
The prince is victorious.
You know, it's weird that I want the witch to
Democracy
win.
has fled.
Isn't that weird? Usually you don't go for something so ghastly. But in this case, you want the witch to win. Oh!
Is Germany.
That's hilarious.
And the brave, handsome knight, you know who he is.
Okay. This is funnier than I was giving it credit for. Oh, feels weird. Always shouting that one. Isn't this incredible to see? This is how the Allied forces saw Germany and, well, you know, that fella. The animation and tone was so brutal leading up to this. And now we're... now we're here. Leave it to Disney to find that balance, you know what I mean? How'd that happen? Did the lightning do that? Not gonna lie, it's a strong horse, right? Ah!
The moral of this Nazi fairy tale seems to be that Hitler got Germany on her feet, climbed into the saddle.
Whoa, whoa,
and
whoa!
drove her
Those
ride.
those trees are, wow.
The distortion of this tale has its purpose in molding the young Nazi mind. Hitler becomes Hans's idol.
That's uncomfortable.
But one day, Hans became sick.
Uh-oh.
His mother is praying that her son get well. She knows that the unfit are taken away by the state and are never heard of again.
Even if it's like a cold? How sick did Hans become? And how sick do you have to be taken by the state? Like, what's the cutoff, I wonder?
Heil Hitler!
Heil Hitler.
Ooh,
Was ist denn schon wieder los mit Hans?
that wasn't
Ist er denn
enthusiastic
schon wieder
enough.
krank? Was hat er denn?
Ja.
Sie verwöhnen
Oh,
den
this
Jungen.
is heartbreaking.
Aus dem wird nie ein guter Soldat. Sollte aus Hans ein untauglicher Schwächling werden.
It's back to that heavy tone
Sie wissen
again.
ja wohl, was ich meine. Nächstes Mal erwarte ich einen besseren Bericht. Dieser sentimentale Quatsch muss aufhören. Das bitte ich mir aus.
The dramatic changes in tone
This Superman has just reminded Hans
doesn't feel weird.
unless this mollycoddling stops, the state will have to step in and take over.
But I wonder, again, how long was that? Was it like 2 weeks of illness? A couple days?
Hans recovered. Back in school, he's giving his daily pledge to fight, obey, and die for his Führer,
Ay,
which
ay, ay.
pleases the Führer very much. And Herr Goering. And Herr Goebbels, too.
Weaselly little.
Sehr gut. Und nun, Kinder, werden wir unsere Naturkundestunde halten.
Hans' school teacher is about to give the
Is this
class a
actually
lesson
German?
in Natural history.
Or is this German sounding gibberish?
Zeichne ich einen Fuchs. Nun passt gut auf, was jetzt hier passiert.
I mean, this is some really just well planned out storytelling.
Little lesson.
Wer kann mir sagen, was wir daraus lernen können? Hans?
Das arme Häschen.
He said the poor rabbit.
Oh,
Is he
no.
out of his mind?
You're showing weakness, Hans.
Nochmal, Dummkopf! Was für
Always
eine
turning so
Antwort
red.
ist denn das?
Take a
Geh in die
breath.
Ecke. Was? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, boy.
Den Stuhl.
What would the Führer think of such a stupid answer?
Oh, wow.
What would Herr Goering say? And Herr Goebbels?
Ah!
Dummkopf!
Oh, poor Hans.
Wer kann mir nur die richtige Antwort geben?
Now then, who can give the correct answer?
Ich weiß. Es zeigt uns, dass die Welt
Oh
dem
my gosh.
Schwachen gehört.
The world belongs
Suck
to the
up.
strong
Und dem Brutalen.
and to the brutal.
Oh,
Der
no.
Hase ist schwach und feige und
The
verdient
rabbit is a
es.
coward and deserves to die. They spit on the
Yeah.
rabbit. Nice kids.
Gut. Gut.
Ausgezeichnet. Und nun, Hans, was denkst du jetzt von dem armen Häschen?
Ich hasse es.
Oh,
He
boy.
hates the rabbit. There's no room for weaklings. Hans is learning
Look at that
fast.
conditioning.
My, how he hates that rabbit.
Indoctrination at its finest.
So, das ist besser.
Hans has come around to the correct Nazi way of thinking. Nice going, eh, Adolf?
the tonality shifts. Again, don't feel weird.
Yes, this
It's very well. The story's very well plotted.
Destroy all weak and cowardly nations.
It's so uncomfortable.
Alle anderen Völker werden unsere Sklaven sein.
Germans are a super race.
Sie.
All
Ah.
will be slaves.
Oh, Hans
Übertrefflich.
never stood a chance.
Niemand.
Germans are unconquerable. They fear no one. Listen to the fanatic cry.
Jeez. I mean, this is the stuff of nightmares.
Today we own Germany. Tomorrow, the whole world.
Oh, man.
Hans is now ready for the higher education, as decreed by the Führer.
Oh, boy. All verboten things. Ugh. Man, all this really strikes a chord. Jeez.
Marching and hiling and marching, Hans grows up. In him is planted no seed
Isn't it
of laughter, hope, tolerance, or mercy.
So odd that we were just giggling at overweight Germany and
Marching and hiling.
weak armored Hitler just moments ago.
Man
And here we are.
finds him still hiling and marching. But the grim years of regimentation have done their work.
Is that Hans?
Now he's a good Nazi.
Oh, that is Hans.
He sees no more than the party wants him to. He
Ah.
says nothing but what the party wants him to say. And he does nothing but what the party wants him to do. And so he marches on with his millions of comrades, trampling on the rights of others.
Isn't it
For now, his
insane
education is complete. His education for death.
that this is real? This actually happened in human history. And I'm sure precisely this way. And an important thing to remember, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So though that war was won, that specific battle is behind us, it doesn't mean those intentions are long gone. They're just ever present under a different mask. So be vigilant out there, folks.
And there we have it. How about that? How about that? One of my, I feel like I say this all the time, but genuinely a favorite of mine. And you know, it's interesting how much I love these World War II propaganda shorts from Disney. I don't know what it is. Because the subject matter is intense, to say the least. But I don't know, maybe it's the obscurity of it all, the nature of Disney doing content centralized and focused upon Nazis, you know? This mostly, unlike what was it, Der Fuhrer's Face? This one wasn't very funny. It had its moment, its moment of lightheartedness, but all in all, man, very intense, very dark, very guttural at times. Like when that schoolmaster's yelling at the kids, and then young, what was his name, Hans? He broke down. He broke down over that whole, you know, the rabbit is weak, the weak must die. It's very, very, very not Magic Kingdom-esque. You know what I mean? Anyhow, Education for Death, the making of a Nazi. Let's get into it. Let's get into everything we didn't know, we wanted to know about this short. Released on January 15th in 1943, a runtime of 10 minutes. Released in the United States, produced by Walt Disney, narrated by Art Smith, music by Oliver Wallace. Based on Education for Death, Sparky, the Making of the Nazi, by Gregor Ziemer? 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 I don't know how to pronounce that. Written by Joe Grant and directed by Clyde Geronimi, which is a name that we recognize. Did I say that right? Geronimi? Geronimi? Geronimi. Geronimi. I don't know. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. I didn't realize this was based on a external work. Still called Education for Death. But this one has Sparky in the title. Education for Death. Sparky, the Making of the Nazi. Interesting. All right, Education for Death. This is the Disney version. Education for Death. The Making of the Nazi. Which is interesting because I thought it was making of a Nazi. Weird. Is it though? No, I guess it is making of the Nazi. Huh. Okay. Well, it's the and not a. Let's see. Education for Death. The Making of the Nazi is an animated propaganda short film produced by Walt Disney Productions and released January 15th, 1943 by RKO Radio Pictures. Directed by Clyde Geronimi and principally animated by Milt, Kahl, Ward Kimball, Frank Thomas, and Bill Tytla, Tytla, Tytla. I like the way Tytla sounds. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I like the way Tytla sounds. The short is based on the non-fiction book of the same name by American author Gregor Ziemer. We went over that already. The film features the story of Hans, a boy born and raised in Nazi Germany. His introduction in the Hitlerjugend. The Hitlerjugend is the Hitler Youth. The Hitler Youth was the youth organization of the Nazi Party in Germany. Its origins date back to 1922. Dang. And it received the name Hitlerjugend. So it's Hitler, and then it's Jugend. Jugend. Hitlerjugend. And then some other names after that. Hitlerjugend, Bund Deutscher. I can't even begin to try to pronounce this last word, but let me spell it for you. It is Arbeiterjugend. German is quite the language, an aggressive language. But it became the Hitler Youth, or Hitlerjugend. Oh, wait. It was the Hitler Youth in 1922, and then it became the Hitlerjugend in July of 1926. And then from 1936 until 1945, it was the sole official boys' youth organization in Germany. So there we go. That's what this is all based on. That's how you make a Nazi. Yeah, so that the story is based upon Hans's experience in the Hitler Youth, and then ultimately his eventual march into war. Now, we have already watched the short, and if you are on the podcast, then maybe you haven't watched it, but you did listen to it. I highly recommend going to leallegacy.com and giving it a watch. Don't deprive yourself, because I'm not going to go over the plot. I think it's kind of redundant. Why are we going to go over the plot if you just watched it or listen to it? You know what I mean? So here we go. You want the plot? Go watch it. Production. Education for Death, The Making of the Nazi, was released when Disney was under government contract to produce 32 animated shorts from 1941 to 1945. In 1940, Walt Disney spent 4 times his budget on the feature film Fantasia, which suffered from low box office turnout. Surprise, surprise. Now, I got no beef with Fantasia, but man, if you're going into Fantasia with Snow White and Pinocchio as your feature film expectations from Disney, well, Fantasia took a big turn. Big turn. Again, not a negative turn necessarily. It is quite the trek, though, to get through all of Fantasia without being lulled to sleep. Now, you're not falling asleep because you're bored, but I definitely have dozed off because it's classical music, man. It's just, it puts you at ease. But this isn't about Fantasia. This is about Education for Death, the making of a Nazi. The Nazi. So anyway, yeah, low box office turnout for Fantasia. Disney was suffering from such. Nearing bankruptcy, and with half of his employees on strike, Walt Disney was forced to look for a solution to bring money into the studio. The studio's close proximity to the military aircraft manufacturer Lockheed helped foster a U.S. government contract for 32 short propaganda films at $4,500 each. Now, giving the time, it's a pretty penny. It's a pretty penny nowadays, but back then it was even prettier of a penny, even shinier of a penny. This saved the company from bankruptcy and allowed them to keep their employees on payroll. The dialogue of the character is in German, neither subtitled nor directly translated by Art Smith's lone English language narration. A voice track of Adolf Hitler in full demagogic, I think that's how you say that word. A voice track of Adolf Hitler in full demagogic rant is used in a torchlight rally scene. Oh my gosh, really? Sorry, that's my bad. That's my dyslexia kicking in. Let's start that over. A sequence follows in which Hans becomes a German soldier along with other Hitler Youth. Now, that's fascinating. I had no idea that was the case. I didn't realize that they actually used genuine Hitler audio. So that makes this short even more just, I don't even know what the word is. Not obscure. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's even more, I don't know. But I'm sure you know what I want to say. It makes it that much more unique, I guess is the word I'm going to settle on, unique. The fact that there's a Disney short that exists where Hitler's voice is, I mean, his voice is pretty immortalized in countless, film reels and such from the time, audio recordings from the time. But I bet you never guessed that one of those recordings would be within a Disney short. In the Disney archive, there is a preservation of one of Hitler's rants. That's so crazy. So crazy. In terms of home media, the short was released on May 18th, 2004 in the Walt Disney Treasures collection. Walt Disney on the Front Lines. I reference in Der Fuhrer's Face that's where I first came across all these Disney World War II propaganda shorts. And really just kind of it's a gem within my collection because I really think those are the only time they were mass produced. Like a lot of these shorts, at least. Definitely this one. That's for sure. Relationship to the Ziemer book. Zimmer, how do you say that? Ziemer, which feels kind of German within itself. Ziemer? I'm going to say Ziemer. George Ziemer, an American author I'm going to start that one over. George Ziemer, an American author and educator who lived in Germany from 1928 to 1939, wrote the book Education for Death after fleeing Germany on the eve of World War II. Wow. He fled Germany right the night before it all broke out, I guess. Well, I mean, tensions were probably high and things were kicking off prior. Is there technically like an like they say this day the war started? I mean, I'm sure there is. I guess when they officially declared war, I don't know how that works. I'm not a historian. I'm not. As surprising as that sounds, I'm not a historian, so I may be sounding naive or ignorant right now, but the idea, just even the idea that he fled Germany on the eve of World War II, like he got out and then the next day we are in the thick of it, it's fascinating, to say the least. The book highlights what was going on in the Nazi schooling of the German youth. The narrative focuses, or let me try that again. The narrative story focuses around a group of youth that, under the guidance of a Nazi stormtrooper, Franzen, Franzen, Franzen. The Nazi stormtrooper Franzen. Let's see. Let me start that over because I got way off track with Franzen. The narrative story focuses around a group of youth that, under the guidance of a Nazi stormtrooper Franzen, take a hiking trip into the woods. As night falls, Franzen lectures the troop on their duty to preserve the purity of the human race and proposes they symbolize this task with a solemn ritual to impress on us all that fire and destruction will be the end of those who do not think as we do. Wow. Let's try that again, because that didn't fully soak into my brain. So, the ritual to impress on us all that the fire and destruction will be the end of those who do not think as we do. Man, that is a very Nazi characteristic. However, that I feel like that could be said about a lot of different ideologies out there, and tribalistic behaviors of multiple groups, not just Nazis, which is within itself concerning. Like, we haven't apparently moved too far out of the realm of this sort of like hive mind mentality. Franzen then hands out 6 books: the Talmud, the Quran, the works of Shakespeare, the Treaty of Versailles, a biography of Joseph Stalin, and the Bible. The books are passed around the circle, and each boy spits on the book. Wow. Or they spit on the books. So the books are passed around the circle, and each boy spits on the books, hands them back to Franzen, who douses them with kerosene and lights them on fire. Whoa! I was familiar with the concept of book burnings, but I mean, we are under the impression. So this is all the book version of Education for Death. Now, I believe that it is what did it say? A nonfiction? Let's see. Education for Death. Wrote a book. It's not saying exactly. Animated propaganda film. American author that features Hans. It doesn't say. Oh yeah, there it is. The story or the short is based on the nonfiction book. So it's nonfiction. So this happened. I don't think it's a direct account. It's not like a historical fact that this exact thing happened, but this exact thing was happening, I guess. And by that I mean the books being burned were the Talmud, the Quran, works of Shakespeare. Why works of Shakespeare? The Treaty of Versailles, a biography of Joseph Stalin, which is interesting because Stalin, he buddied up with Hitler for a little while. And then the Bible, of course. So that's, man. Let's see. The books are passed around the circle, and each boy spits on the books, hands them back to Franzen, douses kerosene, sets them on fire. Got it. The troop then signs the... I can't even begin. Deutschland something. Deutsh. Oh, no. Let's try that again. So this word that I can't say or spell, apparently, is DEUTSCHLANDLIED. Deutschlandlied. They sign. The troop then signs the Deutschlandlied. The Deutschlandlied, officially titled Das Lied der Deutschen. For any German speakers out there, I apologize for my butchering of this. Let's try that again. The Deutschlandlied, officially titled Das Lied der Deutschen, has been the national anthem of Germany, either wholly or in part, since 1922, except for a 7-year gap following World War II in West Germany. In East Germany, the national anthem was Auferstanden aus Rauen. That definitely is not how you say that, but there you go. It gives you an idea of what that is. Okay, so they signed that, and the Horst Wessel anthem around the fire. Horst Wessel. Okay, so first word HORST, second word WESSEL, and then anthem. So they signed both of these. That Horst Wessel anthem, the Horst Wessel Lied, also known by its opening words, Die Frühling, was the anthem of the Nazi Party. I didn't realize they had their own anthem. Anthem. See, my tongue is giving up on me. It's like you're trying to make me work in ways that I can't understand, so I quit. That's what my tongue is saying to me. So anyway, however you say that was the Nazi national anthem, and I did not, or the not national anthem, but the Nazi anthem. And I didn't realize they had one. From 1930 to 1945. From 1933 to 1945, the Nazis made it the co-national anthem of Germany, along with the first stanza of the word I couldn't say earlier, Deutschlandlied. Deutschlandlied. That actually sounded right in my head when I said it that time. The book inspired 2 different adaptations, Education for Death and Hitler's Children. The former... Oh, okay. That's not one title. So the book inspired 2 different adaptations. First adaptation, Education for Death. Second adaptation is Hitler's Children. Hitler's Children is a 1943 American black and white war film made by RKO Radio Pictures. The film stars Tim Holt, Benita Granville, and Kent Smith, and was directed by Edward, oh my goodness, I can't even fathom how to say this. So Edward and then last name Dmytryk. Dimitric from an adaptation by Emmett Lavery of the book Education for Death. Wow. Anyway, the former took Ziemer's conclusions very seriously, as it showed the education of Hans from an innocent kid, let's start that over. The former took Ziemer's conclusion very seriously, as it showed the education of Hans from an innocent, kind youth into a chained and muzzled Nazi drone. The scene of the stormtrooper and the hiking trip is transplanted to a classroom where the teacher instructs the students about nature's laws, about the strong fox having the right to kill the weak rabbit. When Hans does not agree with the teacher, he is punished until he falls in line. The scene involving the book burning is part of the ending compilation of Nazi transformation and deconstruction. Let's try that again. When Hans does not agree with his teacher, he is punished until he falls in line. The scene involving the book burning is part of the ending compilation of Nazi transformation and destruction. There you go. That's the word, destruction. It shows a torch-bearing crowd setting fire to a pile of books of John Milton, Baruch Spinoza, Albert Einstein, Voltaire, and Thomas Mann. It then shows a burning of Felix Mendelssohn's Wedding March. Don't know what that is. And an allusion to the Nazi race law and the burning of a pile of art. Whew. That was tricky for me to really get through. I apologize, but my mind is spinning while reading this because I'm playing the scenes from the short in my head while reading it. I don't know. It's just the way my chaotic brain works. But there we are. That's everything we didn't know we wanted to know about Education for Death, the making of the Nazi. Again, if you haven't seen this, I highly recommend it. Even without my commentary over it. If you can, I most encourage you to check it out with my commentary at leallegacy.com. But even without my distracting commentary, it's definitely one. It's worth watching. It's worth watching because it's such it's like a time capsule is what I'm trying to say. It is like like opening a time capsule and getting a look back into world history, not just American history, not just German history, world history, World War II. It was everybody. And it gives you an idea of just where we were as humans back then. And where we were as humans bled into a company that today symbolizes magic and happiness. And that magical and happy company within their archives has an animated short featuring a true recording of Adolf Hitler's rant. One of his many. I don't know, man. I'm no historian, but I do love history. And I hope you do too. Because those who don't at least learn from history are always ultimately doomed to repeat it. So let's avoid that. But what you should not avoid is visiting leallegacy.com. Plug time. Yeah, leallegacy.com. Come on over, scope out all the other rad content that we have available for you, including our Skeleton Crew store. Skeleton Crew Fight Club is our lifestyle brand, mostly with cool pieces of apparel and then just other things. Anything that we here at Leal Legacy want to brand as a product we've developed. Skeleton Crew. So scope out our store, pick yourself up something nice. We sponsor ourselves. We don't have any external sponsors. We don't. We just do it all in-house. We just do it ourselves. So the best way to support what we are doing here at Leal Legacy is to shop around our Skeleton Crew store. And that's at leallegacy.com/shop. Plenty of other cartoon commentaries up there, plenty of movie commentaries up there, and other podcasts and such. So plenty of fun to be had, plenty of content to ingest. Is that the word I wanted to use? Ingest? Yeah, why not? And then what else? I think that's about it, right? Oh, and then across all your favorite social media platforms, everywhere, we're just Leal Legacy all over the place. Leal Legacy. And with all that being said, thanks for being a friend and sharing with a friend. And until next time, I've been Justin Leal, and over there is Baney Boy. He's sitting in on my recordings today. Say hi, Baney. Yeah, that's my youth. That's the legacy youth. All right. See ya.